All right, guys. Football season's back.
Sir.
Best time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Before we dive in on our future bets, some news around the league.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson signing with the Lions. Not too nervous about that, honestly.
No,
Not
at
really thinking it's relevant at all.
I think it just makes that backfield like a little bit muddier. You know, as far as fantasy goes, you really can drop everyone as far as your ranks go. I mean, no one's really drafting anymore, but
Yeah.
I'm not looking to mess around with that backfield anymore.
Nah, it's too clustered. I don't want any part of it,
I agree.
honestly. Some bigger news, though. Clowney to the Titans.
Yeah, it's huge, man.
That's a huge pickup for them.
Yeah. It's a tough division, and that's going to help them out big time.
Absolutely. I mean, you're kind of in on the Colts this year. So
Yeah,
that make you nervous? Or?
Not too much. I mean, the Colts are my favorite future, I think, of the year. Just to make the playoffs in general. To win a division, you know, it's a little tougher. You could get better odds, but like we're saying, the Titans are going to be a good football team again. Yeah. I think the Colts can be a 10-win team, though. And I think 10 wins can, get them that 7 or 6 spot.
Absolutely.
Really, I mean, starting with the quarterback position is probably the biggest move, bringing in Phil Rivers.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that Jacoby did that bad last year, really.
No, I agree.
But I don't know if he's a starter, I think it's great that they have him as a backup now, too.
Yeah.
Whereas if Rivers goes down or if Rivers isn't playing well, they have a guy who knows the system.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is great in this kind of weird year we're having. Yeah. Outside of that, they added some players on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
They drafted Pittman. Hopefully that helps if T.Y. can't stay healthy. He'll be out there on the outside. They got Paris Campbell. He's going to be playing some slot for them. He's back this year, hopefully healthy. And they drafted Taylor, which I think is going to be huge for them.
Big hype around Taylor.
They got 3 pretty solid backs they could use, and which goes well because they have the easiest strength of schedule this year.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll have some nice game scripts for them, and Phil Rivers can kind of manage the game and not try to force anything. Whereas with the Chargers, they really weren't playing, playing with the lead as much as I see the Colts doing that.
Absolutely.
Really, the biggest thing for him, I think, is the line. I mean, if you think to his time with the Chargers, they were never that great.
Never had a good line.
Now he comes to a line that brings back all 5 starters.
That's huge.
All 5 of them played every game last year.
Yep.
And I think that's just going to be so big for him. And I hope they do well. I mean, they signed Buckner from San Fran on the defense, and they brought in Rhodes to play some corner. Hopefully those guys can, step up and really help where they need to there.
Yeah. Going back to the Titans, my first big future here. Derrick Henry, entering his 5th season, gets paid. They have him at 11.5 touchdowns, and I just think that's too easy for him. I think he'll crush the over there. Last season, 16 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Year before that, 12 touchdowns.
Right.
I got him at 13 this year. I think he'll easily get to that.
They
They did lose Jack Conklin, but I'm not too worried about that. They re-signed Dennis Kelly, who was there in 18 and filled in well for Conklin.
Yeah.
And then they drafted Isaiah Simmons in the 1st round.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be a help.
Definitely.
Henry 4th in NFL yards per carry last season, averaging around 5.1.
Sweet.
I know the red zone efficiency's got to regress. It was like absurd last year.
Yeah. Didn't even need a kicker last year.
No, it literally.
It was nuts, bro. Crazy.
But yeah, 1st and goal, 2nd and goal. I don't see how they don't give him the ball. He's going to get the attempts.
Exactly.
I easily see him going over that 11.5.
Yeah. And another big thing with that is they didn't bring in a bigger back. They
No.
got rid of Lewis and they drafted Evans.
Yep.
Who's another little scat back type of guy who's been hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, dude. If Henry can get a couple more catches too this year,
absolutely,
he's going to be balling. I think.
I'm huge on Henry. Love the Titans this year.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be running a lot. They're going to be playing with the lead.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, after the Colts, they have the easiest schedule as well.
Yeah.
So they're going to have some game scripts for you there.
Absolutely. So I'm taking that over on the 11.5.
Great, brother. I'm with you. I think my biggest future for players is out in Seattle with DK Metcalf.
Love DK.
They have his line at $7.99.5, which I think is kind of a joke. I could see him being around 1,000 or breaking 1,000 this year. He had 900 yards his rookie year, and they didn't really add anything. I mean, they brought in Josh Gordon last week, maybe. I don't think he's going to do too much. They brought in Philip Dorsett. I don't see him challenging. He could play that other outside role, but then you have Lockett in the slot. He's a great, 1A to Metcalf's 1B type of deal.
Yeah.
I just think it's great having him and Russ come back and spending the whole offseason together.
Yeah.
And then coming in healthy, both of them are. Really, after week 7 last year, when he kind of was a full-time starter, he broke 700 yards in 10 games. He only needs another 100 after that for his line this year. I just don't get it.
I don't understand either. DK's a beast.
He is, man.
He's gonna get the catches. He's gonna get the yards.
Yeah.
Kind of something we talked about. Lockett being there. Easily could see both of them being over 1,000 yards.
I could too.
Honestly.
I think that offense is going to be real good, and if they let Russ pass a little bit more, they change their scheme up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's just one of the best in the league, man.
Yeah.
And I think that you agree with that because you're pretty high on them this year.
Absolutely, yeah. Sticking with the Hawks here, I have them to win the division. I just don't. I don't know. I don't like the Niners this year.
Right.
I think that's their biggest opponent in that division.
Yeah.
Coming off the Super Bowl loss, the defense for the Niners played incredible last year, and I just can't see them replicating that this season.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the offense, obviously, the injuries they've had this offseason have been terrible. The wide receiver depth, terrible.
Yeah.
Very poor. I just think the Hawks, they made all the right moves. They didn't really lose anybody huge. They did lose 3 former starters on the line, which could hurt, but they brought in a lot of guys to replace them. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they brought in Jamal Adams, a huge signing.
Yeah, that's great to run that defense, man.
Absurd.
It's
yeah,
huge.
That's going to help them even more. And then they also brought in Quentin Dunbar and Bruce Irvin.
Yeah.
So I think they made all the positive moves to get to 12, 13 wins this year. Mm-hmm. And that should be enough to win the division. Like I said,
I like it, man.
The Niners, they're going to be good. I think they'll still have a pretty good season. But I think this is the Seahawks division, honestly.
Yeah. I think just like the AFC South, how we talk about Colts and Titans, you could say that, between the Seahawks and Niners, that division's there's no clear-cut favorite.
Nah, not at all.
So why not take a shot with the Seahawks for plus money? I think it's a good bet.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm huge on the Hawks this year.
Yeah. Well, there's one team we're not huge on, both of us.
Nah, man.
Sadly, that's the Jets.
New York Jets.
They have their line at 6.5. I just don't see them, break of 4 wins.
Nah, I think 5 would be a great season for them. And that's kind of sad, but again, with that 6.5, I don't see them getting to 7 wins this year.
And just look at their schedule, how they start. They open up Bills, Niners, Colts. And then after that, you could argue they have the Broncos and the Cardinals. Those are probably their 2 softest games, but we both like the Broncos this year. We think they have a great defense, and we think they have a lot of weapons on offense. And then the Cardinals signing Hop, having everyone back year 2. I think they're going to be pretty good too.
Yeah.
Then they got to play the Chargers defense. I mean, without Derwin, it hurts, but they still have so many guys, man.
So many weapons,
so many playmakers. Then they got to play the Bills again. They got the Chiefs and the Patriots. Then they go down to Miami, and that covers their first 10. I don't know who to beat. I don't know who to beat in there.
I don't see too many wins in those first 10 games, and then
no way.
I mean, even the Dolphins are going to be a team that takes a step forward here.
Yeah, I mean,
this season, and
they could split them with the Dolphins, maybe. Yeah. I think that's pretty realistic because they play them back to back, and they play them off a bye, which is probably good for the Jets if they drop one. But still, I mean, then they play the Raiders, Seattle, the Rams, and the Browns.
Tough way to end the season.
Yeah.
I just don't see many wins on that schedule.
No, not at all, man.
Their offense is, I don't know. The wide receivers are dwindling.
Yeah, they've been dropping all off season, man.
Like Le'Veon Bell, but
yeah, I think Bell's a good player, and
just don't know if he fits this
in a tough offense.
Yeah,
they have. I think the biggest thing that hurts the Jets is their line.
Absolutely.
I know they brought in some new pieces, but I don't think it's the best offseason for that. Yeah. The only guy they're bringing back is their left guard.
Yeah.
They have a center from Denver who they're bringing in. They have a right guard they got from Carolina who ended up on the IR last year. And they're bringing in a right tackle from Seattle who was actually a backup who filled in for injury. And then they drafted Becton.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be worse, but I think it's a tough year to mesh when you have 5 guys that haven't really played with each other yet.
Yeah.
And they get
Nope.
2 weeks of padded practice.
No chemistry there, which is huge for the offensive line.
Yeah.
Need that chemistry.
Exactly, man.
I think they may take a step forward, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be good enough.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Plus, they could slip on plays, you know, if they lack, you know, 'cause they have 2 weeks to play with each other. That's it. So if they're not on their shit, they got the Bills week 1. That's going to be tough,
man.
That's going to be a tough start. It'll be a test for them. I mean, hopefully they can get Perriman back and Mims for Higgs' sake.
Yeah.
Because they've both been banged up. Outside of that, they got Crowder.
Yeah.
You know, they let Robbie walk. I mean, they had the second fewest points per game last year. I don't know, man. I don't think they're going to get much better
now.
Not at all. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That pretty much wraps up our futures as far as what we're most confident in. We'll be back on Wednesday. We're going to talk about some fantasy players. We're going to run down quarterback, running back, wide out, tight ends. And we each have a defense for them that we think is going to have a strong start, at least week 1.
Yeah.
Outside of that, you know, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you Wednesday.